F9, the Fast Saga, also known as Fast and Furious 9, also known as the next installment of the franchise that symbolizes the burning wreckage that is Hollywood. Hello folks, and yes, it's true, we're here to talk about F9. It sounds like a computer keyboard command, but that's the title of the movie, so let's just roll with it. If you don't know what this movie is, I'm just gonna assume that you are a crusty old caveman who doesn't know anything about the internet or movies in general. But for all of those crusty old cavemen out there, I will explain it. In this installment of the Fast and Furious franchise, the family is back together, and by family, I mean big extended family, because we got the whole gang here. And it turns out the bad guy is Jacob, Dom's younger brother. Jacob has taken Cypher, played by Charlize Theron, and turned her into this movie's Hannibal Lecter if Hannibal Lecter were played by Coconut Head. I'm not fully sure why he has her, but anyway, his goal is to get these two halves of a thing and then do something with satellites and take over the world or something. Some generic James Bond movie plot. Anyway, the gang has to get back together to stop him. Now, I will not spoil anything in the movie, but I will be talking about things that might seem a little bit like spoilers, but they were included in the trailer, so that's not really spoilers because they're already out there. So, let's go! First off, I want to talk about this franchise as a whole, because I view the 1st through 4th movies as a almost completely different franchise as the 5th through 9th. 1 through 4 are trying to be racing movies that don't really find their footing, and then 5 through 9 are just batshit crazy installments of basically Mission Impossible meets James Bond meets God knows what. The allure and charm of some of these later installments come from how crazy it is and them not really caring about logic and physics and just kind of going for it and having a good time. And it seems to me that the public and a lot of critics seem to like that. Now for me, I like Fast 5 and parts Furious 7. 6 is like, nah, and I absolutely hate Fate of the Furious. So these are a mixed bag for me. But you know what? I've kind of turned a corner and just gone, yeah, to hell with it. We're just going to have fun doing things that make absolutely no sense. I know I've already brought up James Bond once, but I view these movies kind of like I view the Roger Moore and some of the later Sean Connery James Bond movies, in that none of them are good. And I almost enjoy the ones that are worse better sometimes, depending on how bad it is. If they get crazy and do silly things, I kind of like that, and it's just fun. And you get a lot of that in this movie. People are flinging cars at other cars and people like they're toddlers, throwing Hot Wheels across the room. There's things that just sort of happen, and Deus Ex Machina's out the wazoo, and I mean, that's kind of par for the course, though, with this series. Everyone seems to have every skill in the entire world when it's necessary for them. We have, I think, 1 million master hackers in this world who can get into anything in a matter of seconds. Everybody has superpowers, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And nothing you get in this movie in terms of that is any different from the last, 2 or 3 movies. It's all kind of consistent that way. There's nothing crazy and new in that regard. I mean, it's all crazy, but none of it's new, per se. We've added a bunch of new elements, such as magnets.
Yeah, bitch! Magnets! Oh!
John Cena.
John Cena!
And going to outer space.
Space. The final frontier.
And the charm of these movies seems to kind of be wearing thin on the public. This movie is not nearly as well reviewed as some of the other ones, which kind of baffles me a little bit and also doesn't. So let me explain. When people's criticism of this movie is the series has jumped the shark, you guys are so late to the party, pal.
Welcome to the party, pal!
The series jumped the shark at least 2 or 3 movies ago. We've gone through car harpoons, tanks, dropping cars out of planes with parachutes, and a submarine. And you think just now we're jumping the shark? You are incorrect.
No!
That's not a valid criticism. What is a valid criticism is the tone of this movie and how soap opera-y the narrative gets. While I really enjoy all the crazy stunts and stuff that they do, they delve a lot into this story and do flashbacks that try to add a more emotional weight to the story. And in most movies and most franchises, I would appreciate them trying to dig a little deeper. But we are in the 9th installment of a series where cars fight submarines. So don't try to make this emotionally deep. It's going to make the tone seem super uneven. And really, the audience just wants to get back to the crazy stuff. And part of some of the charm of this series is that they do all this crazy stuff and think they're invincible and act like it's normal. And they still do that in this movie, but they have characters actually address how crazy it is that they never get hurt and stuff. And I kind of don't like that. Don't bring attention to what we already know. This movie kind of treks into self-parody at that point. If you're going to point out how ludicrous all of these things are, then that makes them not as fun in this context. We buy into this movie and go, yeah, physics don't work in this universe. All of our heroes here are going to live no matter what because they are giant supermen. But when you draw attention to it, that's just like, oh, come on, man. Like, don't take us out of it. A lot of the problems I have with this movie are the same that I have with all of the installments. Roman is a terrible character who's only there so Tyrese can get a paycheck. All of his purpose is just to give one-liners that suck, and none of them are funny. I will say I am glad that Hobbs is not in this movie because he's a terrible character and he just doesn't add anything, and good riddance. Cypher being back, she's not a good bad guy. And to make another comparison to James Bond, she's like the Blofeld of this universe. Blofeld was the head of Spectre, so he basically controlled all the other bad guys. I don't want us to get to the point where Cypher is going to be like the main antagonist and we're going to have side antagonists all the time. She doesn't control Jacob in this movie, but it's like she's going to be like the big bad of the whole series in general. It's like, I don't want that. Let's move on. Get a better haircut also. And I kind of understand them trying to bring back people from old movies into this, but at some point, it starts to feel like we're just making an Expendables movie. We're like, hey, you remember that person from that one movie? Well, they're back, until the whole cast list looks like a Marvel movie. And it's like, most of these people don't even really serve a purpose. We have multiple people who seem to do the same job, so why do we need both of them?
What would you say you do here?
There's no purpose except for fan service, and the fans don't even seem to care all that much, or at least that's the vibe I'm getting. And with bringing back old characters, we keep adding new characters every movie. There's another character in this who's only like tangentially important. She's like integral to the plot, kind of, but for only like 5 seconds, and then it's like, that's it. She's only here so we know we're gonna have another person next movie to be a part of the crew, because that's what this 11 million person team needs, is another person. Yay. I know this might seem like the incoherent ramblings of a madman, which they are.
Oh, shit, buddy.
But it all boils down to my main points here. The things I like about this movie are the things that I like about this franchise in general. They do a bunch of wild, wacky stuff.
Too wild and crazy guys!
They just go bananas, and just hope you like watching it. And just knowing that we're going to accept that falling from a million stories and landing on a car is going to be like landing on a pillow at night. That part's fun because you're just like, just do some wild stuff. That's what I want. And the stuff I don't like about this is when they try to deviate from that. I'm sorry, but like you've dug your grave, now you gotta lie in it. This is what the franchise is. We can't go deeper. And what more is there to explore with family anyway? Dom always says you never turn your back on family, but this whole plot hinges on him having turned his back on family when he was younger. You hypocrite. When all is said and done, this movie is a mixed bag, but all in all, I pretty much enjoyed myself, fully acknowledging that this movie is basically a soap opera and that it's not very good, but it is better than Fate of the Furious, so I'm going to give it a 5.9 out of 10. These were fast times at Furious High. Truthfully, I'd probably be happy to watch this whole series disband and just kind of go away, but I'd just be equally as happy to watch the train wreck keep on rolling and just sit there enjoying it, eating my popcorn all the while like the little devil I am. Alright guys, well if you like this video, please like and subscribe, or else Vin Diesel will show up at your house in his white v-neck and you don't want that. I'm just kidding.
Punch it! I don't want to die! That's too damn bad!
Thanks a lot, and I'll see you next time.